So helpful.
I actually like that better than the longer countdown.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think
My stress levels would just increase as the long
Yeah.
countdown. I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah, you don't realize how long 30 seconds is until you're just sitting there staring at it, and
Yeah.
it's just like, wait, we're here. Can we go? Can we go? But we are here. Well, hey there, folks, and welcome back to Mike Cyber Radio, a live stream style. As you can see, we are having a party here. We're hanging out at the beach, and we're going to talk a little Transformers. You know, as we have been for the last I don't know, several months, or for me several years, and we'll throughout the rest of this year we are celebrating the 35th anniversary of the Transformers the movie, and today we're getting together to specifically talk about the Fathom event screening that happened last week, and I guess week before now because it's almost a week ago. Anyway, on September 26th and 28th, Fathom event screened the Transformers the movie in the theater, and I thought I was really itchy to talk about my experience, and I thought I'd recruit a couple friends to kind of chat about their experience as well. So let's start at the beach. Joining us directly from the beach, from the More Than Meets the Ear podcast, it's Trish. How you doing?
Hi guys, what's up? I'm doing great. Living my best life, that California dream out here. I figured if I'm gonna rep More Than Meets the Ear, I better do it 110%. So we're out here on the beach.
All right, so as you said, you are on the beach. I'm trying to describe things as best as possible for like folks if they're listening on the podcast and not necessarily watching on the live stream. I've noticed that sometimes I'm not especially good about that, and folks will reach out to me and say like, yeah, when you say, hey, look at this, I can't see what you're pointing to. So I'm trying to be a little more descriptive, but Trish, you are there in the sunshiny beach, and why are you there? What are you doing today?
Well, I am a little bit of an aviation enthusiast. Those of you Transformers kind of helps with that a little bit. But yeah, so there's actually an air show out here. It's called the Great Pacific Air Show, and we actually managed to rope in all three of the North American demonstration teams: the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, the United States Navy Blue Angels, and the Canadian I don't know what their military is called, the Snowbirds. So yeah, I've just been out here.
Sure.
Living the life and listening to my eardrums get blown out by super fast jets. It's been great.
Well, that's awesome. And, so here in the Pacific Northwest, and I guess I should indicate that all three of us are representing the best coast. We're all West Coast folks. So that's pretty cool. We got like that tri-state representation. But, here in the Seattle area, we have an event called Seafair, and the Blue Angels come every year and fly over Lake Washington, and I've seen the Thunderbirds maybe like twice in my lifetime.
Oh, they're so good.
They are super rad, but it's where I'm going with that is like it's especially rare that both the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds are on the same show at the same time.
Oh, incredibly,
and to have the Canadian Air Force team on top of it, that sounds like a really cool fun show. So
it really was. It's been a great day. We had that. We had the F-35s. We had the F-18s. It's been a rocking show, and I'm back again tomorrow for more.
Wow,
Ooh.
very cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, and as folks know from hanging out with you on social media, or even listening to you on your on the podcast More Than Meets the Ear, you dabble around with aviation quite a bit. I do. You're quite the young pilot. I think that's super cool.
I did my best. I love it. Being in the air is just a totally different feeling. I can speak from personal experience. I can tell why the Transformers love it. Those Seekers have the superiority complex. It's for a reason.
That's really cool insight. I guess I never thought of it that way before. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And like as you warned us, Trish, before we went live, there may be some opportunity for some screaming air acrobatics and some loud noises. So just content warning for folks hanging out here on the live stream. Which actually that would be super cool if somebody did some stuff. But
unless we have a Maverick, we should be pretty okay. Unless someone goes rogue, I think they just wrapped up, so we should be pretty good.
So just chill beach vibes then.
Chill beach vibes, yeah.
That's how we do.
Repping my Transformers out today. I think I've got my Seeker wings on this side. No, that's my Autobot side. Seeker wings on this side. There we go. My hat is full of Transformers pins for anybody who can't see.
Right.
So yeah.
Super cool. I love it. Living your best life out there. That's terrific.
The only way to do it.
Also joining us on this panel today is fabulous fan artist and regular guest host on the Transmissions podcast, longtime Mike Cyber Radio supporter and guest co-host. It's Apollo. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Just enjoying this lovely Portland day. As you can see, for those who you can't see, my corgi Jazz is making a cameo appearance.
Yeah, man.
Podcast. So.
Rocking his Hawaiian shirt, living his best life.
Yeah, he's living his best life right now. I'm living my best life as well. I just redid my display case today a little bit, so I'm always fine-tuning that.
I love it. That's a great display there you've got. And Apollo, you had mentioned shortly before we went on the air here that you've consolidated some of your collection. Like, you've traded in a bunch of stuff and got some other cool stuff. Do you want to talk about some of your recent adventures in collecting?
Yeah. So I had like 3 totes of figures that I didn't want anymore, and a lot of them were in boxes. They were just taking up so much space, and I thought I was going to be moving a few months ago, and then I had to cancel for other reasons. And so I was like, you know what, I don't want these anymore. So I went to a local toy store called Rogue Toys in Portland, and I traded in a bunch of stuff, and I got this here, the Flame Toys Optimus Prime. And then I also got this G1 Mind Wipe. I was just like, oh, he's cool. He's got wings like a bat.
Yeah. He's a chunky little vampire. I love him.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid to convert him though, because I think he was just like sitting on someone's shelf since the 80s, and this figure's almost as old as me. So I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna fall apart if I try. But I also got an Orion Pax figure too. But, yeah, but he's over on my table. So.
Which Orion was it? Is it not classics, but one of the recent generations ones? I don't remember.
It's the one that comes with the comic book.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the one that I was going to say was classics, but I recently listened to the Triple Takeover episode talking about classics from like 2006, and that's kind of on my mind because I didn't really mess around with that line. I wasn't really into Transformers collecting during that era, so it's interesting to go back and listen to folks talk about stuff from that era. Cheap plug for those guys. If you're not listening to Triple Takeover, get your life right. It is a terrific Transformers toy podcast.
Yeah, and I'm just figuring out, I really like the Seekers, obviously. As you see all the rainbow of Seekers and the Starscream shelf behind me. So it's just, it's as a collector, at least for myself, if I'm not enjoying something, I'm not going to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate, because you have all of the Siege Seekers, right? Because you've got the entire rainbow over there, as near as I could tell here on the live stream, and it's neat that they've made almost, well, not quite almost, but nearly almost as many side swipes as they have Siege Seekers. Because that I tell you what, man, I don't know what it is about what's captured my imagination about that mold. But I'm just like obsessed with it. It's like you ever have that thing where you kind of hope you lose eBay auctions? I recently, without realizing what I was doing, I've bid on like a half dozen different sideswipe Siege molds. But it's all just sideswipe. It's like I've already got a red alert on the way, and it's just regular Siege sideswipe. It's not even the Netflix one. It's just like as I was going through eBay, not really paying attention, I bid on 6 of the same figure. So we'll see how many I end up with. Stay tuned. But yeah, that kind of seems to be my new obsession, kind of building that Super Sentai sideswipe army.
Yeah, I think for the in regards to the Netflix, the War for Cybertron Seekers, I'm only missing the Target exclusive Red Wing and the Skywarp that came in the Decepticon Phantom Strike Squadron pack. Those are the only 2 I'm missing, and it makes me so angry. I'm like, I need them all.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately for you, those and Apollo, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are like the hardest to get.
The Red Wing is okay. He's okay to find, but the Phantom Strike, you can't find him for under like $200. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up at a spot like that with my side swipes, because like the G2 Deco side swipe, where it's black like deep cover, but he's got red accents instead of blue, and he came in like some Amazon exclusive. It was like Covert Strike Team or some such like that. He comes with like a recolor of flywheels, I think, and a couple Battle Masters. I don't want any of that stuff. I just need another side swipe. But I get the feeling I'm gonna end up paying for him once I've gotten all of the other ones, and that time is coming sooner rather than later, especially seeing how my eBay auctions go. But anyway. But none of that is what we're talking about here today. I just thought it would be fun to kind of talk about where we're at in our collections and stuff that we're doing. But the reason for the season is the Fathom event screening of Transformers the movie, which again happened the 26th and 28th. And before we talk about our individual experiences, because we had kind of our own experiences there that I would like to get into and talk about, I guess what I would like to start with to set the scene is can we talk a little bit about what our relationship is to Transformers the movie? One of the reasons why I was really excited to have both of you on to join me here is that you both have vastly different experience with the movie than I do. Like, I've told my story a million times. Like I went to go see it when I was 7 years old. It was the first movie that my mom let me go see by myself, which incidentally, after we got out of the screening, my wife got in my ear and she was like, "And your mom let you go see this by yourself with all the violence and the swearing and all that?" I don't think she understood what she was letting you go see. But for me, it was kind of like a little bit of a taste of empowering. Like, it's just like, oh, I'm an independent 7-year-old. I can go buy my own popcorn and my own Red Vines and Dr. Pepper and sit here and watch all my childhood heroes get slaughtered on the TV on the movie screen. I mean, but yeah, no, I mean, it just, no other movie at that point had just grabbed my imagination and my attention the way that had. Like, I had seen Star Wars movies and things like that, but there was something different and something special about this movie that's always stuck with me. And I've since made a lot of friends that are in the Transformers fandom, but the thing that I think kind of gets lost in the shuffle the more friends I make and the more shows like this that I do is that my love and adoration for Transformers the movie supersedes my Transformers fandom. Like, I've been a fan of this movie my entire life. I've called it my favorite movie, and that is not always the case for everyone my age in the fandom, as I kind of found in some of my social media interactions over the last week. But we'll talk about that in a sec. But anyway, so it's a movie that's always been iconic and important to me. So to have the opportunity to see it in the theaters again was a really cool opportunity that I didn't want to miss out on. But I know that my story is not everybody's story. So Apollo, I know you've talked about your experience with the movie as well. But I guess let's start with that and just kind of talk about what your relationship to this movie is before we kind of get into our experience watching it again on the big screen.
I never saw it until 2017. So I'd seen Transformers G1 when I was a little kid, but they were just reruns because by the time I was old enough to remember it, they'd stopped making new episodes of Transformers. So it was just reruns on TV. So I got into Transformers again as an adult in 2017, and because of the Last Night movie. And then it was around Thanksgiving, a friend and I put on Transformers, the movie, the 1986 movie. I hadn't seen G1 since I was a little kid. I had no idea that they killed off most of the main cast in the movie. I was like, wait, what is happening? I just remembered, I'm like, why is everyone dying? It was pretty shocking to me. So, so that was my first time seeing it since, first time seeing it ever. And then I had seen it, I bought the movie, and I've seen it several times on home video. And then I missed out on the last showing in theaters. I was going to go, but then I wasn't able to go. So this was my first time seeing it in theaters.
Wow, very cool. That's and again, that's part of the reason why I wanted to chat with others, because there was a time kind of when I kind of got more involved with the fandom. I connected with the Autopsy Decepticast folks, and they did the first 86 episodes of their podcast is going over the movie minute by minute. So again, as I said, being a fan of the movie more than the Transformers kind of as a general IP, I immediately gravitated to their show. But once I started hanging out with those guys and getting to know them better, not a darn one of them saw it in the theaters. In fact, most of them saw season 3 before the movie. So I was still kind of on that weird island by myself where I had where I had seen the movie in theaters. And so I'm always interested to get the perspective from folks that are experiencing it on the big screen for the first time. So before we get in and unpack that, let's chat with let's chat with Trish, and I see you had a couple friends over there, which is super cool and super chill.
Yeah, that's actually my family. So that's my mom and my stepfather, and they're causing all sorts of trouble over there.
They are furiously making out right in front of us here on the live screen. I love it.
Stop.
It's a family show.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyways,
no, it's fine. I'm just teasing. One of the things that folks might not know about me is actually Mike Cyborg is secretly a super prude. Who knew? I'm like, oh no,
oh no, it's beyond PG.
Oh no, smooching.
No, my mom's like, do they want to interview me too? I'm like, no, Mom, you don't know anything about Transformers. Stay over there. She's the air show. It's a very big air show, and they have alcohol at this air show. So it's the end of the day. Anyways, so yeah.
Turned down for what?
Exactly. So my experience with the Transformers movie, I actually wasn't a big part. I didn't even really find out about the Transformers fandom until 2011 in Dark of the Moon when that came out. And I'd been watching the first Transformers show I actually ever watched was Transformers Prime. And so I kind of grew up on that one. And then I kind of got introduced to G1 a little bit as I went around and I met people from the movie, from G1, and started to realize that, hey, these people are cool. I'm going to watch this. And then I actually didn't see Transformers, the movie, all the way through until the 30th anniversary event 5 years ago. And God even knows what year that was now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's actually where I met my friend Joe Troutman, who's inadvertently taken me on this huge long journey with Transformers, and it's been a very fun ride. I've met a lot of cool people and gotten to do a lot of cool things since doing that. So little shout out. But yeah, no, so I've only seen Transformers movie all the way through a couple times. Once Sunday, the 26th, I think it was, and then the 30th anniversary, and then I've seen parts and pieces of it, but I've probably only seen it all the way through like 3 or 4 times.
Gotcha. So, yeah, because I mean, Transformers the movie is kind of like a weird piece of media as it fits into like the overall Transformers catalog, I guess, because I mean, really, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like the centerpiece of G1. But like for folks that have grown up with other Transformers past G1, like, you know, folks that latched on to the live action movies, or maybe folks that were like Beast Wars folks. I've always wondered how this movie works for those types of folks, if that makes sense. Like, I know why it's important to me, but I don't know if I know why it's important, if it's even important to folks that don't have that same type of experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry if you guys hear a bunch of chatting, and there's like a helicopter flying overhead now. So
no, it's fine. It adds to the ambience, and you know, hopefully it's a friendly helicopter and not like that helicopter at the beginning of that 2007 movie. That was,
we had those Ospreys and Blackhawks out here earlier today, so they were out here making a menace. But this one, I think it's the news chopper. I'm not sure. He's just flying around.
I gotcha. So Apollo, let's go back to you. You had mentioned that this screening was actually your first time seeing it blown up on the big screen. You know, you'd obviously seen the movie prior to that, but I guess let's get into it. What was that experience like? Seeing a movie that you had seen before, but being able to experience it in that kind of exhibition.
It was amazing. So for many reasons, and I'm going to skip over one part, you know, the thing that was at the beginning of the movie, because I know we'll be talking about that later. But no, it was really cool because the theater, like the center section, was pretty full. And it was mostly people in our age range, I would say, you know, like I only saw one adult there with a kid. The rest were, you know, I think they'd all seen the movie before, because like the laughing started at the first line of the movie in the year 2005. And people started laughing, and it was just really neat seeing it on the big screen. You know, there were a lot of things, like little details I didn't notice watching it on my TV, like especially like the UI on the computer screens in the movie with like the little flashing lights, and just little things like, you know, Perceptor after the cassettes, he fights with the cassettes and they're off him, like he's like, you know, adjusting his neck and stuff. And it's just like, those are little things I didn't even notice watching it on the TV. But it was fun. It was a collective experience with the people in the audience, and you know, it was interesting. I think we had a lot of Decepticon fans in the audience, because there was a lot of laughing at Megatron and Starscream's bickering and whatnot. And it was really special. I'm glad that I was able to see it in theaters. And what was pretty amazing was no one left, as far as I know. I didn't hear anyone get up or anything until the credits completely finished. It was like everyone was just like wanted it to keep going. Like they didn't want it to end, it seemed like. So it was really cool.
They must have really, really liked that Transformers theme song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a real hot take because like I watched that movie 2 times in 4 days, and
oh my gosh,
I don't need to hear that song anymore for a while. I mean, I love it. It's my favorite movie. It always makes me smile. It always makes me happy. But yeah, sitting through those credits, I'm like, okay, I think I've had my fill. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, you have like your very favorite meal or like dessert or whatever, and you have too much of it, and it's just like, you know what, this is really good, but I think I've had enough. I think I've had too much. So that was that was a little bit of my experience towards the end of the experience. I ended up leaving kind of like halfway through the credits because I knew there wasn't anything at the end. Kind of halfway through the credits of my second time watching it. I did end up going both on Sunday and on Tuesday. So I, much like when I was 7 years old, I got to see it twice in theaters, which a good buddy of mine, George Soroy, who I was on the podcast recently talking about his mini-series about Transformers the movie. If you haven't checked that out, go check out the Excelsior Journeys podcast. Really, really great interviews. He talked to like a lot of the voice actors and the writers, and anyway, it's an incredible 5-part miniseries talking about the history and the legacy and all of that stuff having to do with Transformers the movie. But he hit me up on Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, you've seen it twice, just like when you were a kid," and I didn't even put that together until he said, but it's like, oh yeah, I guess so, because that was always my flex when even when I as an adult hanging out in the fandom, it's like, yes, but I saw it twice. And that was literally on the strength of a commercial. They came on and said, it's so big, it's so exciting, you gotta see it twice to take it all in. And I went to my mom and I'm like, hey mom, I gotta go again. Well, you already saw it. I'm like, yes, but I gotta see it twice to take it all in. And sure enough, she let me go a second time. And I went with like a couple friends, so it was a different experience both times, and really that's kind of how it was this time as well. Like Sunday, Lucky and I went, my wife and I, and then Tuesday, I ended up going by myself after I got off work. There was a theater showing it within walking distance. I thought I was going to have a couple coworkers go with me, but they ditched. It's like, oh no, I gotta go do kickboxing. I'm like, kickboxing?
Wow.
Come on, man,
Wow.
it's Transformers. Let's go. And he saw me posting about it. And he's like, oh man, that was Tuesday. I totally forgot, because I was just like, yeah, go, whatever, it's fine. So for me at least, it was I did go to see it in 2018 for the first Fathom events where they were trying to sell those 30th anniversary Blu-rays. Yeah. Had a great time with it. It's totally fine.
And the posters. We didn't get posters this year. I was so sad.
Right?
I had to bring my own poster.
Yeah. we're going to talk about your poster and your whole experience in just because I mean it is like a whole thing.
I had a big day that day.
Yeah, I would say so. But yeah, so I mean, it was for me at least, especially the Tuesday showing. I wasn't as enthusiastic by halfway through that Tuesday showing. It's like, okay, I've seen it. I'm not really seeing anything different. And And that's not necessarily to call it like a down note or a down experience, but I think seeing it twice in 4 days was just too much. I think that just I kind of did myself a disservice by doing that in retrospect. But I'm certainly glad I had the opportunity, and I am glad that they put it out for 2 days, because there were a lot of folks that weren't able to go to see it on Sunday that were able to see it on Tuesday. I don't think it was designed for me to go see it twice, but that's what I ended up doing.
I mean, you go see any movie twice and you're like, oh God, again.
Exactly. Especially one that I've seen so many times. And I think with the Tuesday show, I think I was looking for some of the things that Apollo was referring to, like maybe things I hadn't seen before, things that, were kind of trying to catch my attention. I think what kind of sucked some of the enthusiasm out of it is, I think rather than watching it as I had on Sunday and as I had back in 2018, I think I was more studying it rather than enjoying it. And I think, again, I did myself a disservice there. But it was, there's a couple different avenues I want to go with, but I think I will come back to them, because I think I'm doing poor journalism here. I'm doing what they call burying the lead. It's like when you've got like the really provocative topic and you're not talking about it. So I'm going to stop doing that. And Trish, I'm going to turn the floor to you. And you know what? In as much detail as you would like, tell us about your experience on Sunday, because you got to participate in something very, very special that I'm super jealous. You know what? I tell you what, like a week or so before, I was considering jumping on a plane to go down and join you guys down there in Beverly Hills.
You really should have. It would have been worth it.
I get the feeling that's what it was, but yeah, it just wasn't quite in the cards. But yeah, please take us there. What happened?
Yeah, so the coolest thing is, I know we're probably going to talk about this later, but the shorts that were filmed before the movie and that came on, I actually got to help participate with that.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. I didn't do much. I just got to go and take pictures of the actors recording their session.
Oh, that's all. I just got to take pictures. I didn't really do anything.
It was a big deal for me, but like I wasn't, there directing or doing anything super cool or producing it like Joe was. But I got to go and I got to take the pictures and I got to record them. Recording, it was a super cool thing. So it was extra fun to go in and see this thing that we had done, which they actually didn't intend to do that originally. Hasbro tacked that on as like, oh, hey, we finished these shorts. Why don't we tack on the ones that are done onto, the movie? And so that was super cool. So we got to go and we got to watch that. And then we actually got quite a few members of the actual G1 cast and crew to come and join us for a showing. So we had Flint Dilley there, the director. We had Paul Eiding, voice of Perceptor. We had Michael Bell, voice of Prowl, and one of the Dinobots whose name I can't remember at this moment in time. We had Greg Berger, voice of Grimlock. We had John Machida, voice of Blur. We had some other guys. We also had Stan Bush, who obviously wrote the touch and the Transformer scene that plays at the end of the movie. And then Vince DeGola, who wrote like the entire soundtrack. And I think, honestly, my favorite thing about that day was we got to do like pictures and meet and greets and everything afterwards. My favorite thing was that we had ourselves a little theater and Flint was just having a ball with it. So we got an entire running commentary from cast and crew throughout the whole movie. So
during the movie.
During the movie. So it was incredible. So, Optimus Prime dies and Flint just out of nowhere goes, "This apology's been a long time coming, but sorry, folks." And the entire theater just cracked up and lost it. And then, like, you have some of the characters are saying their lines, and the actors in the back going, "Me, Grimlock," and I was like, "Oh, this is just the coolest thing ever." So they were saying their lines, and then Paul Lighting, Perceptor's going, "The probability of XYZ is, this and this," and John Machida is talking as fast as he possibly can, and it was just an incredible experience. And then they all got together and we all got to take photos, and they were kind enough to sign some stuff for some people. And so it was an incredible day. It really was awesome. It was super cool to just go and be in that environment. And a lot of the actors had, but like Flint had never really seen the G1 movie all the way through. So
Oh, wow.
for him, it was like, oh, so we've been rehashing this thing. Let me go and see what we've been rehashing.
Yeah.
And then he went and saw it and was like, I did a good job. Like, yeah, you did it. You did, but you kind of knocked it out of the park. You know, this is still like a pop culture classic, 35 years down the line. So, but yeah, the running commentary and the chipping in by the actors, and then the audience, they figured out, we got to do a little announcement beforehand of who was in the house. So then when their names popped up or their character popped up on the screen, the audience was just like applause and cheering and clapping. And then it was a super fun, super immersive event, which it could have not been. And honestly, it was stellar. And then a couple of us went and got lunch. Lita actually was there, so it's a shame she's not here to talk about it with us, because she was there. And then we got to go to lunch with all the actors, and not all, some of them came, and everything. So that was incredibly fun. Just spend some quality time with these super cool people who've been a big part of all of our lives.
Yeah. It sounds like it was a real, true Hollywood experience.
It really was, and one that I'm very fortunate to have been a part of.
That's super cool. I would be lying if I didn't say I wasn't a little jealous, because it just looked like everybody was having such an incredible time. Now, I should also let folks know, if you're hanging out with us here on the live stream, I've had some conversations with Joe Troutman, who worked on the stop motion shorts. We are looking to do a podcast in the future where we're still solidifying the guest list, but at the very least, it's going to be he and Flint Dilley, a story consultant of Transformers the movie, to kind of talk about the stop motion shorts project, how it came to be, how what went into it, and kind of in depth in that Mike Seibert radio fashion that folks seem to enjoy. But unfortunately, Joe wasn't able to join us today, and quite frankly, I kind of wanted to have that separate from the, well, let's just talk about going to the movies. We can kind of do the kind of deep dive. Now it was just kind of more about like celebrating, like you were saying, Trish, where it's like, how cool is it that I get to see the movie with the folks that are in the movie? I mean,
it was incredible. And then to get to see something in theaters that you had like just a teeny tiny, part of participating in, that was pretty exceptionally cool. And then Joe was very cool about it, and I got to help. It was cool because I was kind of there helping out Joe. I kind of got to help out, and so I got to stay afterwards and do they did a little the actors actually got together and did like a little speech, and it caught everybody by surprise. And so I'll be posting it later. They were like thanking everybody and talking about their experience with the movie and their experience with going and seeing it in theaters with a crowd, with fans. And so that was super cool to hear their opinion of how the day had gone.
Terrific. That's really cool. And to myself, I was thinking, I'm like, oh man, I hope somebody is recording something, because that just seems like that's just a very special, once in a lifetime type of thing. Like, I'm sure Fathom Events is going to put the movie out again. It's like, because I mean, it's kind of funny, like with so I've been buying the Studio Series 86 figures, and there's been a lot of Transformers the movie 35th anniversary related stuff. There's the new 4K that's out, there's other toys as well, all to kind of like celebrate this particular anniversary. But then it's like, you know what? There's always going to be an anniversary. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh no, I can only get these toys once. It's like, no, I'm sure in another 5 years, they're probably going to do another run of figures, or another, some type of other home video release, or, something like that. But what I'm getting to is like, the thing that you're describing, Trish, sounds like very much like a once in a lifetime type of experience. And I'm again, I just think it's so cool that you guys were able to experience that.
Hopefully, everybody had a really great time. So there was, the talks of, oh, we should do this again. So hopefully next time we'll be a little more organized. you know, we kind of got a theater last minute. We just pulled everything together. But hopefully next time we'll get like a little bit more in depth about it. And everybody seemed to have a great time. So I think they'll all be in for a round 2 when the next anniversary rolls around.
Well, and you actually kind of answered a question I was just about to ask, and you know, I can ask Joe when I have him on as well. It's kind of like, how did this come together? Because like at one point it seemed like it was just like Joe and you and Flint. And then it was suddenly like, oh, well, you know, Michael Bell's in, and now Paul Eiding is in, and next thing you know, you got half of the cast there at this screening.
Yeah, so actually, you know, it just kind of, we were like, hey, we should get together and go see a movie. But then it got into the, hey, we should invite everybody. And there were actually a lot more people who had anticipated being there but weren't there for other reasons. Frank Todaro and Jason Marnoka were supposed to be there, but Frank was over on the East Coast, and there were some things that didn't quite work out. Dan Givelson was back east. So we just kind of reached out to people that each of us kind of knew in the fandom. We're like, hey, you want to join us for a get together? And most of the time it was, you know, sure, let's go hang out and have some fun and see this movie that is all kind of near and dear to our hearts together. So kind of just started out as a let's go to the movies and see this thing that you helped create and we did a little thing for, and turned into a whole big shebang. As things do.
Very cool. Very cool. Geez, Apollo, I don't know if we're living our best lives or not now, because we just went to go see the movie at a regular movie theater.
You know, living an hour from Hollywood definitely helps. Being in Southern California makes it very accessible to go and do things with these incredible people. So, yeah.
So awesome. That is so cool. Again, thanks for sharing and talking about that experience. One of the next things I wanted to talk about is I don't know if it's unique to folks maybe my age, but one of the things that I found this time around is there didn't seem to be a whole lot of as much enthusiasm for this Fathom event showing as there was, say, like maybe the one back in 2018. Like I was corresponding with a handful of different podcasters that are kind of in my age group, and almost nobody went. Like, you know, I've seen the movie enough times. I don't need to go this time. So, but it got me to wonder, though, because I saw other folks that are not in my age group that were enthusiastic. Like, holy smokes, I get to see this on the big screen, and, you know, that kind of thing. So I wonder, just as a weird topic of discussion, is this one of the things where the younger generation is kind of taking it for their own and it being as important to them? Apollo, what do you kind of think about, maybe, I don't know, I guess for lack of a better term, G1 or apathy, for lack of a better term. I don't know what else to call it. But I mean, like I said, I mean, it's like there's more than a couple of, and I'm not going to call anybody out here, but like there was more than a few folks that I was really kind of surprised passed on the showing. And it's just like, no, I've seen it. It's fine.
Honestly, I just think it's because of the pandemic. I think if we weren't in a pandemic, I think more people would have gone. Like, that's what I'm noticing, because I've only been to the theaters twice since the pandemic started, and one of them was for Transformers the movie, and it was a pretty decent turnout, at least where at the theater I went to. But the other movie I saw, there were like 3 other people. So it's like, you know, I really honestly do think it's the pandemic. I think if we weren't in a pandemic, I think more people would be there. I do think, though, that a lot of younger folks are reaching out and seeing what other content is out there. And I'm, you know, and don't really like using the word content, but, you know, like, you know, but it's such an encompassing word, you know, media, like movies, music, animation. I think there's you know, a lot of people are expressing, at least from what I've seen, like, you know, bringing back 2D animation. This is a 2D animation film, you know, and I'm not sure if it is just like, you know, the G1ers were, you know, just like, oh, I'm not going to go see it. But I mostly think it's because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. You know, and I think that needs to be said, and I don't know if I considered that to its fullest, because you're absolutely right. I think there's still a degree of hesitancy with regards to certain activities. Like give you an example. I have a serious dilemma I have to consider after being rescheduled no fewer than a half dozen times. The Cybertronic Spree is finally coming to my town, and they're playing a show in Seattle next week. And it's cool because like they're requiring proof of vaccination and masks, and so it'll be a very safe show. But the thing that I'm wrestling with is I don't know if safe translates to fun, and I don't know if hanging out with a mask in a concert environment is something that I'm excited about. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be no masks. I'm not putting it out there like that, but that does kind of hinder the fun. And so I'm really kind of debating whether I want to go or not. At a time where when I bought those tickets back in 2019, there wasn't anything I wanted to do more. And and you know, just for listeners, viewers that might not be familiar with, Cybertronic Spree is a band that essentially is the stars of the Transformers the movie, and they're awesome. They play songs from the Transformers the movie soundtrack, as well as songs from popular video games and other types of 80s pop culture and things like that. They are super dope. They're super cool bots. But yeah, I mean, and this is their first tour. Like, you know, they're headquartered out of Cyber Toronto up in Canada, and they've always played shows close to them. So they were really excited to get on the road in 2020. And well, we all know what happened in 2020. So so now they're finally at a spot where they're touring. They've kind of pared the show down. They're playing smaller rooms. And while it's cool, I don't know if it's the experience that I thought that I wanted. Like for example, the venue that they were going to play originally closed. You know, and they weren't able to reopen. So, I mean, and that's a very real consequence of the pandemic as well. So I guess all of that is to say that, yeah, I think the ongoing pandemic does have a lot to do with potential enthusiasm for going out and doing stuff. But yeah, I didn't consider that, but yeah, no, I think you're absolutely. That's a very long way of saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the Cybertronic Spree. They're coming to San Diego and LA, and I had a dilemma: which show do I go to? But then I found out that the San Diego show that I was going to go to is a 21 and up only venue. And I was like, man. Dang, well, I guess I have to go to the other showing that's only an hour away. The good thing about California.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. I'm excited for it.
I am too.
Cool. And Apollo, where I don't remember where they're playing. Somewhere in Portland, a very, very wood log cabin looking room. It looks like a really cool venue. Not to distract us too terribly much. It doesn't
I think it's called the Doug Fur Lounge.
Okay.
That's
hilarious.
Yeah, it is. I don't know where they're going to be playing in there. Like, I was looking at pictures on their website, and I'm like, this looks like a restaurant to me.
It looks like a really cozy cafe. It's like all of this, like, rich mahogany wood. It's lots of pine, lots of yellow, very yellow. It's a very yellow room. But
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it very much fits like the Portland vibe.
I was trying to figure out a way to say that sounds very Portland without being disparaging.
Yeah.
But, so the thing with the thing I also want to ask, and Apollo, you kind of addressed this a little bit earlier, but having seen the movie a couple times, but seeing it on the big screen for the first time, is what I was going to ask you what you may have picked up on that you hadn't noticed before, but you already mentioned that, like the some of the computer readouts and the Perceptor thing. That Perceptor gag is hilarious though. Secretly the whole thing with the tapes is one of my favorite sequences because it shows the scale in a way that doesn't really get conveyed a lot. That basically the bad guy tapes are just kind of like their own little army of hooligans and miscreants. It looks like they're doing mischief more than menace. And plus, Rumble just has that classic line which killed in my screening. That was something you were talking about earlier, Apollo, where like the jokes just kind of land. And I don't know if either of you had this experience, but like, since I've seen this movie 1.5 million times, I've committed it to memory. I know it frontwards and backwards and sideways and all that. I forget about some of the jokes. So it's like when the audience was laughing at a few things, it kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That line is funny. I mean, like they're in the shuttle and the Cup is talking about like, yep, just like the Shrek bats a Dromadon, and Howard's like, how'd you beat them? He's like, I'm trying to remember. There were an awful lot of casualties that day, and everybody starts laughing, and I'm like, oh yeah, and it was one of those weird transportative moments because I remember when I was 7. And I laughed at that line. And I had never been in an experience with anybody who laughed at that line ever again, to the point to where it's like, kind of like when you laugh at something because you think it's funny. And I'm like, well, maybe that's just not funny. But sure enough, hearing it and folks laugh at that line, I'm like, no, 7-year-old me was right. That is a funny line. Oh yeah, we inverted polarities. It's so silly. But yeah, I mean, so I guess, Apollo, can you talk about kind of more, how am I trying to phrase this? I don't know, just, I'm trying to find a way to phrase it without being like leading the witness. Like, just, I don't know if there are any other like sensory experiences that you wanted to call out while you were there seeing it on the big screen. Like did any of the like sounds or the visuals or anything like that catch you in a way that it might not have at home?
Well, I actually noticed that I think the audio was kind of messed up in the movie theater. Normally you have like surround sound, and I don't think we had that for some reason, but I've got to say, I really liked seeing Starscream on the big screen. Like, I was very happy about that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I need a bigger TV.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it was, I'm trying to think of anything else I noticed. Like, just like, as I said, like the little things that the characters would do. Like I noticed, like there's this one scene where like Unicron looks over his shoulder, and it's like I didn't notice that before. Yeah. It's when the Dinobots are attacking him, and that was pretty cool. Just a lot of little things like that, and it hits differently in movie theaters. Like when Rodimus gets the Matrix, and then it's like Arise, Rodimus Prime. It's just like that was had a chill go down my spine, even though I knew that was what was going to happen. That hit very differently too. And I can see how this movie would impact like a little kid, you know, just like, you know, with what happens and all the visuals and everything.
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of the background art more in the theaters, and I think that's just because, you know, it's a bigger screen. Like my TV is not the biggest thing in the world either. I think I have like a 32-inch, so it's like, you know, there are monitors, computer monitors that are bigger than that. But
sure.
You know, I don't know. I think a lot of the lines landed differently too. Like I really remember, you know, the sequence when Optimus is talking with Ironhide at the beginning, and like, you know, the little details with the laser beak, you know, like that stood out to me too.
Very cool. I mean, it's a rich tapestry. It really kind of is. And it's something that I've taken for granted since I've seen it so many times. It's like I found myself several times just looking at those gorgeous background paintings. Like especially like when they're on the junk planet, even like the weird designs on the Quintesson planet. It's just like there's all of those details are just so rich and vivid, and it's cool to see them on a larger, big screen.
Yeah.
So Trish, so you've seen the movie a handful of times as well. And obviously your experience was very different what with the running commentary, but was there anything visually or audio wise that you caught this time around that you hadn't previously?
You know, honestly, it had been so long since I'd seen it, and I've spent a lot of time in the Transformers fandom between when I first saw it and then before. I hadn't really been a huge fan or very well immersed into the fandom for very long when I first saw the movie. So coming in and seeing it and coming in with much more knowledge and understanding of the characters themselves, it was super interesting to see how the character development they flesh out and these conceptions that people have about all of these characters played in even back then in the movie. Like I didn't remember Galvatron agreeing to be like, Rodimus, we have a common enemy, and then he only goes rogue after, you know, Unicron does whatever that mind torture thing is. And a lot of the jokes hit differently. Like they were funny. I understood them. I understood all the references. Like I knew about the Joker, you know, the Strike Bats of Dramadon, and a lot of the art, that was a big thing. And then just watching the things that characters were doing in the background. Like you don't notice that when you're watching it on a small TV or you're watching it on your laptop or something. But honestly, for me, the biggest difference was just because I was coming in with so much more knowledge and understanding of the characters. And then like hearing like the audio things, like the beeps in the background that you only get when you have surround sound, or the characters who are saying something when on your screen it only sounds like unintelligible battle screaming, but they're actually issuing commands. Like Magnus issued a couple commands, but if you're listening to it at home, like the soundtrack is so intense and there's so much yelling going on by the Autobots that you can't hear Magnus issuing those commands unless you're in the theater. So it was honestly more little things than it was bigger things.
Yeah, and that's been a lot of my experience as well. Just picking up on those little things, like you said, just the little artifacts in the soundtrack. The thing that one of the things that really caught my attention, and it was one of the things you had mentioned earlier, Apollo, was the computer monitors. Those anything where there was the lighting effects and the special effects, anything where there was like additional lighting, all of that just really popped in this new 4K transfer. Have either of you watched the new 4K on home video?
I have not.
I have it,
but I have not.
Yeah,
I understand.
I don't have a 4K player. I watched the Blu-ray version though of the new one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, and this is the definitive version of the movie. It's like if you don't have this on home video yet, go get this one, because that Blu-ray, the full frame version, that is phenomenal. That disc 2 is even better than the 30th anniversary one, I think, in terms of like picture clarity and things like that. But one of the things that again, that just really grabbed my attention, the way all like the screens and all the lights and beeps, they just had like a special pop and twinkle to them. And I will tell you though, for folks that watch it on home video, and this is kind of the difference between theatrical exhibition and watching it at home on TV, all of those effects are that much more pronounced on TV, because your TV is lit differently than a movie screen. So it's like those that have the 4K and have 4K enabled stuff, that those effects really pop in a way that it really, really got my attention. I watched like 5 minutes of it when I first got it, and I was just like, like the whole Unicron devouring Lithone sequence, and just like when the energy lights up his around his ring, I'm just like, wow, this is something special, and I had to stop, otherwise I'd have watched the whole dang movie. So then yeah, I've since watched that whole the 4K on 4K disc, and it's just incredible. One of the other things that I noticed that's a little different, and this is like big time nerd stuff. So kind of forgive me this one a bit. So Apollo, on your Blu-ray, it's square. It's a square full frame image. A little bit of trivia about the way Transformers the movie was made versus the way it was screened is it was made square to be played on television. Because even though they were going to put it out in theaters, they were still going to put it out on TV. So they wanted to have it in that square aspect ratio. So when they put it out in theaters, though, movie screens are rectangular. So the tops and bottoms of the image are cropped off. Now, it wasn't until the 20th anniversary edition back in 2006 that Sony put out that they restored a widescreen version of it. But even watching it at the time, I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And the tops and bottoms of the image is still cropped off. Where I'm going with all of this is every theatrical screening of Transformers the movie has had the tops and bottoms cropped off. What Shout Factory did with this version of the 4K, though, they cropped it in a different spot. And what I mean by that is my go-to scene to tell where the film has been chopped is the scene after they assemble Autobot City and like all of like the guns come out. There's the final shot of that is there's a gun turret that spins around and you can see the barrel of the gun, and on this gun barrel there's like a little anime gleam that goes from like the bottom to the top. In the way the film has been cropped in the past, you can't actually see the gleam. So like in 2018, when I went to go see it for that 30th anniversary thing, it was chopped exactly where I suspected it was going to be. And top of the gun barrel was cut off. I went to go see this, and again, I'm watching for it. They cropped it lower. They took more off the bottom and left more on the top so you can see the full gun barrel. It's just, again, this is like the deepest minutia thing, but I was just like, hey, and what that tells me, and I haven't watched it like frame by frame, and I'm sure I could at some point, but I would imagine that maybe they went like scene by scene to kind of see where like the appropriate way to crop it is, as opposed to just, laterally chopping it off at the top of the bottom, because there were a few other scenes that I can't really call off the top of my head that, it's like, no, this is cropped different. Somebody paid attention to what was going on here. So anyway, so that was like my one thing. And also, and I don't know how come I didn't notice this before, but like when on the Junkion planet, RC is getting run down by a junkie on a motorcycle and is like, hitting at her with an axe, and then she, does the spin blade move thing. I didn't know or notice that that's a female junkie on.
Huh. I didn't either until just now.
Yeah, and it's just like, because it's like, or at least female presenting. Like she just like RC, she's very pink. She's got pink face and she's got red lips, and I was just like, huh, I'd never noticed that before. But so that was kind of like my big thing. I was like, I've never noticed that before. But yeah, it's always a cool experience. It's always really fun. But man, Trish, that wind is kicking up down there at the beach.
It's getting cold out here.
I was gonna say it's
5:30 now. The sun's about to go down.
Yeah, sun's about to go down. So I think now is kind of like a good time to just kind of go around the room and just kind of wrap up with final thoughts. And so yeah, I guess on the whole, let's start with you, Apollo. What's wait a second. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm pulling a Kanye West on Taylor Swift here. I was just like, I'll let you finish. I guess before we get out of here, let's talk very briefly about the stuff that happened before the movie, because we referred to the shorts, but we didn't really talk about them.
No, we didn't.
So we'll hit on that in a sec. But yeah, there were a couple commercials. There was like one for the 3-0 Bumblebee statue, which is only like $70. That looks really cool. There was like a GameStop commercial that said like, hey, if you spend $35 on Transformers, you can be entered in for that auto converting Optimus Prime, which I don't know how to do that actually. Like, so it's like I actually sent something to GameStop too. I was like, I went to go see the movie. In fact, I went to go see it twice, and I still don't know how to enter in to win. Could you help a brother out? Because they have. I have it on pre-order from Hasbro Pulse, but that's it's not going to ship until next year. But they have they have the sweeps. So, and they have them in stock.
Wow.
I just checked it this morning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's in stock. I could buy that right now. Get a Wave 3 Studio Series A6. But anyway, and that would, and I buy something else, that'll get me to $35. I might. Anyway, I'll see if GameStop gets back to me. If they do, I'll let everybody know on socials what's what and what's going on there. But the other thing before we talk about the shorts is like they had a commercial for this War of Warships, World of Warships or something like that. All I know is that at one point my boy is driving a boat, and it's just like, I don't know. The game looks fun, but like I like that like all of the warships have specific personalities and paint jobs, and Starscream was vamping it up. Hot Rod and Grimlock were cool, but yeah. The Soundwave boat looks really cool, and he just, I don't know, it's something about the controls he was doing. It's just a lot of big dad energy, and I was here for it. I might have to play that game just to see what the Soundwave stuff is all about.
That made me think of you when I saw Soundwave there, like with the controls, like a bike.
It's so funny. I just thought that was the most hilarious thing, and. So all of that stuff was commercials, and I think that a lot of fans misconstrued the shorts as commercials. Because I've seen folks talk about it on Facebook and Twitter saying, oh, the commercials for the action figures. And I haven't really... I want to make sure and get Joe and Flint on first before I start sharpshooting some of these folks, because it's like that's not really what they were meant to be. But
they aren't really sure what they want them to be yet. It's a pretty safe answer from what I've heard on both sides of the conversation here and seeing it. They're not sure what the heck they want to do with them, but they're fun as heck. So
absolutely. So I mean, I've rambled for a few. Apollo, do you want to talk about your experience seeing those shorts? Because we kind of we didn't know anything specifically, but I at least had an idea that something was coming. I just didn't know what it was or when it was. So I was kind of like, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I can't say nothing about nothing, but yeah, so that it was just kind of exciting to finally see where it's like when it unfolds. I'm like, that's the thing. That's the thing. I've been sworn to secrecy since Thanksgiving about. That's the thing. God damn it! It was very exciting to see it play out. But yeah, I mean, so let's talk about the shorts and what we thought about them before we close out.
I thought they were fun. I was very excited to see Joe's name in the credits after them. Like, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I thought they were fun. I really liked the Rodimus one the best.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. And I thought there were a lot of funny moments for like during the Jazz one, they're like, oh yeah, these guys die too or whatever. And like Optimus is Starscream, like look at the camera like, wait, what? But I like those stop motion animations. Like I think they have a lot of character to them. And I liked all of them though. The third one was fun too. I wish that they would do more of those animations. I think they're a lot of fun, and it's cool to see the toys being used, to make something so imaginative like that.
Absolutely. So Trish, you obviously have a completely different level of access and experience with those shorts. Exactly. So wait, so hang on. This is breaking news. Did you guys not know those were going to be part of this showing of the movie?
Not originally.
What?
We had there was a concept, and then the timetable got moved, and so we were like, we don't know what's going to happen, and then we managed to pull through a little bit right at the end. So it was kind of a hey, this would be fun if we did this by the movie anniversary that came out, and then we weren't sure like what was going on, and then like we managed to get they managed to get a couple of them in there, and so it was very, very cool. There were a bunch of concepts, and we weren't sure which ones were going to get picked up.
Gotcha. Okay. So what was it like then, seeing those in front of all your friends, basically?
It was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to say, hey, I was there when they did this, and a lot of people didn't realize until the end of the shorts or when they saw the couple credits that we actually have G1 voice actors acting different characters. Like Greg Berger and John Machida are acting as their respective characters and also playing additional roles. Like Greg Berger was the sound engineer in the Jazz short, and Stan Bush was Jazz. And one of the, I'm trying to remember, like I don't want to say anything I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, I was going to say, be careful. When in doubt, leave it out.
Yeah, I can tell this stuff though, that because it's in the credits, that Stan Bush was Jazz and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it was super fun to get to be like, hey, this was something I got to be part of, and now I get to see it in theaters in the big screen, and getting to be there with them when they recorded was like super cool. But yeah, no, they were super fun to watch, and getting to see them finished and not just the voices was so cool. Especially hearing everybody's reactions to them, because at first people were like, what is this? And then they were like, oh, and we tried to make ones like they tried to make them so that they were kind of like fan service moments, like, oh, let's clear up the whole who's Cyclonus thing, and throw some comedy in there at the same time, and well, why did Jazz make it out of there when he should have died? So they tried to make them super fun, and I definitely think they succeeded. I had a great time with the shorts all the way around, and we brought in a couple of new voices for actors who couldn't partake or were no longer with us. So I got to meet some super cool new people and make some new friends all the way around.
Very cool. Super fun. And again, I just, yeah, I mean, again, like I had a multi-layered experience with it, because it's like, first it was the shock of, oh, this is the thing. and then, so it almost took me like until that second viewing to not have that shock, to just, wow.
Seagulls, Attack of the Seagulls.
No, the 2 ospreys just flew over like 50 feet above me. I was like, what the hell? Oh, shit.
Oh,
I was like, are they crashing? I'm so sorry for my language. That scared me.
I understand.
It's okay.
Like they're literally 50 feet above me. I was like, oh my gosh. I thought they were crashing or something. I was like, is this an invasion? I was so concerned.
Which is funny, because all we saw on the video here was the flock of seagulls.
Yeah.
So we just thought it was a bunch of loud seagulls and staring.
Those were ospreys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did not expect that. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. I forget what I was talking about. Oh, so it took me until like that second viewing to really appreciate the humor and the craft in it, because then I could just enjoy it, because I don't have the novelty of like not the novelty, but like the shock of the new, of like having to like read the credits to, like study it. Whereas, second time through, I could just, just enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, all 3 were funny. I liked how Stan Bush as Jazz saves his character from being discontinued. I thought that was neat. The second one with Apollo, like you had said, Hot Rod with the Matrix, and I loved. Oh my! I loved how they showed off the features of the character too, because I forget what the line is, but he says something about Galvatron having greasy hands, and he like does the thing where like his hands open and close, because Studio Series Hot Rod can do that, so he can grab the Matrix. And I just love those little visual gags where he's just like, yeah, he's got greasy hand, clack clack clack.
Quick note, it looks like the ospreys are coming back, and they're going much slower, so it's going to get loud.
Okay.
Nice.
Ooh.
Terrific.
Sorry.
You get a part of an air show.
Right?
I love it.
Like, can I turn my camera around so you guys? Yeah. I don't know if I can.
We'll see what happens. It's fine.
It won't let me.
No.
Oh, that's
no.
okay.
I just broke it. Oh, wait. Yeah, they're coming back. Go away. I want to exit full screen. I want to be able to
You might be stuck. Doing. Well, and
wait,
you...
I got it.
Well, and
I can like stand up and then I'll like show you behind me. That I can do that.
Ew.
They're like right there.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow.
I don't know
Wow.
Yeah, there, right there.
That's pretty incredible. And right there at the sunset too. That's
oh yeah, it's pretty cool. I love that air show.
That's pretty neat. Well,
they're not even part of the air show. They're just flying around. Sorry about that. Okay, keep going.
No, it's all good. Let's see. So, and the third one obviously was the whole sweeps legislation, who was who, and in both of my screenings, all 3 shorts had lots of chuckles, lots of laughs, and folks really seemed to enjoy those quite a bit. So congratulations to Joe and company, and yeah, so that's looking forward to potentially more of those in the future, and we'll just leave it there.
I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to get in trouble. No trouble over here. I don't know. These last 3 were great.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
They were great.
So as we wrap up, because again, it's going to get dark and Trisha's going to get real cold real quick. So I think I think it's about that time. But before we go around the room and shout out our stuffs and our things, any final thoughts on either this particular screening, this Fathom event, or the movie in general, just kind of like as a piece of Transformers fiction, I guess, like an icon of the Transformers franchise. Apollo, let's start with you. Just kind of final thoughts as we wrap up.
Oh wow, that's a lot in one question.
I know, right?
I think that if you're a Transformers fan, you need to see it in theaters at some point, the movie. I thought that this was really fun. I hope they do this again in the future. And it was very different for me to see it in theaters, and I'd like to see it again. I wish I would have gone to the Tuesday showing, and I didn't go. So, but yeah, I'm glad I went. I wish I would have gone to the one in 2018 because I did have tickets for that. I just didn't go. So, yeah, so that, yeah, it was just really great. Like, seeing it on the big screen. I'd like to see it again. And it was very different than watching it at home.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's I go back to those original commercials and trailers from 1986 where it's like, it's an incredible rock and roll adventure in widescreen animation. I mean, they really hyped it up. And again, that old chestnut that I played on my mom. It's like, it's so big, it's so exciting. You gotta see it twice to take it all in. And I believe all of those things. I think this is a big screen adventure that needs to be experienced that way because it's 86 minutes of relentless fun. It's easy to forget how fast this movie goes. It is a fast-paced movie, and you are in and out on the quick. It doesn't waste a moment. I love it.
Yeah, and it ends really abruptly too.
It really kind of does.
I'm just like, wait, what? Like that's something like when I first saw it, I'm like, whoa, this ends super abrupt. So
yeah, it's like, well, no, evil is defeated. Let's go. We're done here, folks. And then, of course, you get the cavalcade of like everybody that's still alive. It's like, oh, everybody was okay. Because it is weird, though, and I forgot about this from like when I was a kid, but like you kind of think that some of those new characters are in trouble. Like when Unicron squeezes the Junkion ship and throws it away, it's like, do you know that Retgar and Perceptor and all those Junkions are okay? I mean, you do at the end of the movie when they're hanging out there, but there's no other indication prior to that. Very bizarre. Oh no, we just lost Trish. Dang it. And I almost went to her first too, because like I had a feeling like her juice was running low, but we'll see if she happens to rejoin us. But in case she doesn't, go listen to More Than Meets the Ear. They talk about Transformers Cybertron. It's a really fun podcast. If you like any of the type of stuff that we do, I think you'll really enjoy their show as well. So go check it out. But Apollo, thanks as always for jumping on with me. These chats are always fun.
Yeah.
And before we part ways, you want to let folks know what you're up to, where we can catch up with you, how we can commission your arts on the internet, and how we can listen to you on the podcast. The things.
Yeah, I'm involved in quite a few things, Mike.
Yes, quite a few hands and quite a few pies, which is great. I am so happy and so proud of the output you've been doing in just like the last couple years. It's like it's really neat. I'm just really I couldn't be any more proud of your progress.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. So, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram at RoboApollo. I am a fan artist and I have commissions open, mostly to help with this little guy here who's my dog Jazz. He's got like really bad skin allergies. So there's going to be a lot going on with that. So If you want to commission me, please follow me at RoboApollo on Twitter and Instagram. And in my pinned tweet on Twitter is my commission info. I also just share general Transformers news as I see it, and, just like chatting with people in the fandom. So if you just want to chat, you can say hi, and yeah, that'd be great. I'm also a guest host on Transmissions, and they're on Twitter as well. And they also have a Discord server. So you can check those out as well. It's a really fun show, and they do the show weekly. And it comes out, they do it live Sunday for people who are on the Discord, and then the episodes come out later on in the week.
Absolutely. In fact, the most current episode of Alt Mode is you and Charles talking about your experience watching Transformers the movie in the theater, and it's not an hour and a half.
I know, right?
I listened to it on my walk Friday morning. I'm like, 15 minutes, perfect. I'm like, I could squeeze an hour and 15 minutes out of the same material and conversation.
Yeah, well, the difference between that show and your show is their show is very structured transmissions. So there's always an agenda. We go and hit all of the agenda items. So and I like that, but I also like this freeform version too. So just chatting, Mike. So and with Trish too, who's not here anymore. But I always like this. I know.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, these conversations are always fun, but I think our time here has ended. As you're watching on the video, you can see how things have gotten darker. The suns are starting to go down in the Pacific Northwest, and I think that will wrap things up for this week's episode. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast and hanging out with us here on the live stream. And if you want to listen to all of my past shows, Mike Cybert Radio, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, or wherever the heck else you listen to your podcast. And you could check out the full show archive out on SoundCloud, 5 years and over 300 episodes worth of shows out there. And you can become a Mike Cybertronian and join the MSRP Friends and Fans Facebook group. Tune in to the Mike Cybert Radio podcast live stream on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. Like, share, rate, and review the show. Let us know what you'd like and what you'd like to hear more of in the future. For my guests, Trish and Apollo, my name is Mike. This has been Mike Cybert Radio. And until next time, till all are one, make good choices.
Till all are one.
Till all are one. Oh, yeah, and wear a mask and get the vaccine. Goodbye.
Yes.
All right, and I'm just going to hit this end stream button.